end of the minute or whatever in the collecting tubules, whatever comes out to be urine, to the final urine which is thrown out. Why do we say excretion is different from this? What happens is we throw a lot of substances out here. About 120 milliliter per minute of substances are filtered out into the Bowman space. That all doesn't go out in the urine immediately. Imagine if a person is creating 120 milliliter per minute of urine. That person is going to die very soon. So what happens is 120 milliliter per minute is coming out, and eventually out of that 120, 119 milliliter is reabsorbed, is taken back, and about 1 milliliter per minute, 1 milliliter, this tiny drop, 1 milliliter per minute is thrown out into the urine. That is urinary excretion. Excretion is whatever went out in the urine. Cool? Okay, so excretion should be, now if this is urine formation, if I can write here, urinary excretion equals filtration. What does that mean? Filtration is everything which came out here in the Bowman space, plus secretion. What does that mean? Everything which is moving out from peritubular capillaries into the lumen, secretion, minus reabsorption. That is substances which have been picked up from the nephron lumen back into the peritubular capillaries. So filtration plus secretion, that is everything which goes into the lumen, then reabsorption, that is everything which we pick back up. So that is urinary excretion. We've done with that. Now what is GFR itself? We talked about filtration. Filtration is the movement of substances from the glomerulus into the what is this thing, Bowman's space. GFR, so that is glomerular filtration. When you put the word rate in there, rate simply means something which is measured in time. So glomerular filtration rate means the glomerular filtration occurring in a particular amount of time. Normal measurement is per minute. So what we say is glomerular filtration occurring per minute is called GFR. Okay, so we are done there. Normal values are about 120 milliliter. So what that means is actually cardiac output per minute is 5 liter. 20% of that is about 600 milliliter of plasma coming into the renal system. Within the renal system, from the glomerulus, about another 20% moves out from the glomerulus into the Bowman's space. So that is the GFR, so about 20%. So 20% of 600 milliliter, 20% of 600 milliliter is about 120 milliliter. And again, these are average values. Of course, this would differ from person to person. Now, the most important thing, the GFR, glomerular filtration rate, filtration per minute, depends upon that. Upon what? That is the topic. The question before we talk about that, why do we care? Why do we care that what is the GFR? Why do we care? What are the factors which affect the GFR? Well, here's the thing, this is why we care. This is the mechanism which allows a urine formation. Urine formation is very important for waste substance clearance from the body. If these are not cleared, the person is going to actually die or would have a lot of pathological conditions. So we need to have the urine processed out of our body. We need to have the waste products getting out of our body. And GFR is a big mechanism by which, big contributor, we talked about it here, it's a big contributor to that mechanism, it's a big part of that mechanism. So if there is something wrong with the GFR, that is an indicator of something wrong with the kidney, that is an indicator of person developing waste products in the body and not able to excrete them and going to have the pathological problems. So very important thing. So basic thing to remember now. So I hope you remembered or wrote down urine formation, 3 mechanisms, urine excretion, result of the 3 mechanisms, and you add GFR to the secretion minus the reabsorption. Now is what is the GFR dependent upon? GFR depends upon 2 factors. One is net filtration pressure. Net filtration pressure. Other is filtration coefficient or filtration coefficient, KF and NFP. These are the two primary levers which are operated which change the GFR. So remember this as a doctor. So let me take one more sip of my coffee. Remember this as a doctor, as a medical student, as a healthcare professional, as a nursing student. Whenever GFR is changed up or down, either net filtration pressure is changed or filtration coefficient is changed. One of these two or both might have changed. Nothing else. I've seen students becoming so confused that, oh, I need to remember this and I need to remember that. No. At the end of the day, just remember these two things, net filtration pressure and filtration coefficient. What happens is there are, just to make it further clear for you, there are then another 4 mechanisms which affect the net filtration pressure, and we'll talk about that right now. And there are another 2 mechanisms which affect the coefficient. All physiological mechanisms, all pathological conditions ultimately affect one or more of the mechanisms here and one or more of the mechanisms here, resulting in these 2 mechanisms to be changed and resulting in GFR to be changed. So when, as a doctor, as a student, as a health professional, whenever you're thinking about GFR change, think about this way: GFR is going to change. I need to understand what happens to the net filtration pressure and or what happened to the filtration coefficient. Now for the net filtration pressure, I have 4 mechanisms which change that. I need to understand what happens to these. Or for filtration coefficient, there are 2 mechanisms which change. I need to understand what happens to these. So 6 basic mechanisms here, 2 here and 4 here, which would affect these 2. These 2 would affect the GFR. All diseases, all physiological mechanisms are going to move these things, resulting in GFR change. So remember this. One more thing, I'll make it easy for you. Out of the filtration coefficient normally does not change in day to day. So if I say to you, my GFR is changed today, then I come back in 2 hours and say my GFR is changed once more, you should know that it is not a change in the filtration coefficient. Filtration coefficient, I'll talk about it in a second, is something which changes over years. So this is out of the question for day-to-day changes for GFR done. Now on the net filtration pressure as well, there are, out of the 4 factors, there are 3 which are important factors, and these 3 are the one around which all physiology and pathology will be oriented. Most of the physiology and pathology will be oriented. So at the end of the day, you'll be working with 3 levers and ignoring the other 3. So having said that, let's start. So write it down somewhere. GFR is dependent upon the net filtration pressure and filtration coefficient. Now we are going to approach the filtration coefficient first, so that we are done with this one and we can go back to the net filtration pressure. So let's talk about filtration coefficient. Filtration coefficient is dependent upon 2 factors. And we'll talk about what filtration coefficient itself is. 2 factors. Number 1, surface area, total surface area of the glomerular filtration membrane, total surface area of this membrane. And by total surface area, what do we mean? I just have one glomerulus over here, but we have 1 million glomeruli on one kidney and another 1 million glomeruli in the other kidney. So there are 2 million glomerular membranes. We need to see their total surface area, and that is the surface area which is used to filter these fluids out. So surface area, total surface area of the renal substance, or all the renal glomeruli. And the second one is hydraulic, as Guyton puts it, hydraulic conductivity. Most of these topics which I'm picking up are found in Guyton. The only thing is I'm just taking up the important things and then putting them in here.